Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives we're choosing. If you have already been here, then welcome back. And if it's your first time, then welcome. What I'm discussing in this video is taking full accountability is the only way out. Taking full accountability of your life is the only way out of any negative situation that you find yourself in. A lot of times it's a very hard message to hear for people to understand how important the role that they play in everything that happens in their lives is a major aspect. Now, we can always go find extremes and, subjects and say, well, what about in that situation? Was this person accountable? What about in that situation? But the fact of the matter is that the vast majority of us are not dealing with extremes when it comes to what we can be accountable for in our lives. When you take on full accountability for what's happening in your life, you're not saying that you are to blame and everything that's happening is your fault. I think sometimes those things get misconstrued. They come together, but they shouldn't necessarily come together. What you're saying is that no matter who is to blame, no matter where we can pinpoint the beginning of the issue or where we can say this person was the cause or whatever it was, now that it has happened, now that this is the case, now that I'm experiencing this thing, I am going to take full accountability for moving myself through it and for getting myself out of it. The longer you spend on who should have done what, when they should have done it, how they didn't do it right, who's getting away with what, and all of those things that are related to other people and other people's actions, the longer you spend not getting yourself out of the places and spaces or out of the mindsets that would make your life better or that would get you out of the particular circumstance. When we're sitting around talking about what everybody else should have done or how this shouldn't have been this way or this shouldn't have worked out that way, we're giving way too much power to all those entities that are on the outside of us. So if we're saying that, I got into this car accident, now I have a broken arm, right? I can spend a long time being bitter because this guy hit me, he sideswiped me. And in the accident, it was found that I was in the right and they were in the wrong. And you can spend all that time on that. You can even spend time trying to take them to court and sue for money that the person doesn't have. And that's a lot of time and energy going into that direction. And then retelling a story every chance you get, telling people, this is how my arm got broken. This fool came through the light or whatever the conversation is. And you keep saying it and you keep reliving it and you keep dredging up the emotion related to it. But all the while, you have not gotten past the offense or the issue that happened in your life because you're spending too much time on not being fully accountable for where you stand today. So accountability has nothing to do with blame. A lot of people think that if there's someone to blame, then somehow they don't have to take accountability. We take accountability for our lives and everything that happens in it so that we can have the power, so that we can say, this may not have turned out the way that I wanted it to, but now I'm in charge. I'm going to make sure that I move through this situation, that I work myself out of it, that I become a better person, that I somehow am able to continue going on, even though this person might have meant these things for my harm. I know a lot of people deal with this when they're raising children and there's a parent or somebody who's not participating in the process. And there's nothing better and more powerful and more invigorating than taking full accountability for where you stand today, fully accepting your role as a parent, fully accepting your role as a person who doesn't co-parent with anyone, if that's the case, fully accepting that, because when you fully take it on, you become so powerful. You're not looking around for what somebody didn't give you. You're not worrying about the peanuts that they didn't hand over. You're not worrying about whether they pick up the kids. You're not worrying about what they said about you or what they're not saying about you or where the kids are going, how they're treating them, all these sort of things. You have full control and full power. You can take it upon yourself to say, hey, I am in charge of this. I'm in charge of my life and I'm going to do amazing things with it. And I'm going to raise these children amazingly. And this is going to be my story. My story is not going to be one of lack and defeat and victimhood because somebody else didn't show up. Sometimes when we don't settle deep enough into accountability, we give all our power away to somebody who we think is a bad person, who we think is an awful person. Think about that. You're working with somebody, or you're dealing with somebody who has a negative mindset, who's, tried to do negative things to you, who's put you down, who's treated you this way. And then you also blaming this person for why you don't have this, or why you don't have that, or why you haven't accomplished this, or why it's been so hard for you in your life. So while you think this person is so awful, when you're not taking full accountability for your life, you're handing over all of your power to this person who you think is not even worth being in your space, who's not even worth it at all. Taking full accountability always sounds like you are somehow absorbing something that somebody else did wrong, something that some offense that someone else put in your life that you now have to sift your way through, and you don't get to look out and say, well, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or it's because of these things. And many times there is a this because of that, this and this person in that area, in this environment. That is the case. But what does it get you to focus on those things? What does it get us to focus on coulda, shoulda, wouldas when it comes to the personal power that we have in our lives? If we go throughout every environment and everything we interact with, and every circumstance we find ourselves in, and we're always trying to look for the blame as to why it didn't turn out or exactly the way we want it to be, why we didn't get exactly what we're supposed to get from it, then we're never fully in charge of our lives. And my thought process is, don't you want the power? Don't you want to be the person that writes your own script? Don't you want to be the person that says, this is how I'm going to feel today, no matter what goes on? This is what my life is going to be, no matter who tries to interfere with it? Putting your life and your prospects and everything you have going on in the hands of others is such a huge mistake. Even if you're in a situation to where you have absolutely no control about where you go and when it's going to happen, or how you're going to be treated, or what's externally going to be the circumstance that you'll be in, there's a part of you that has so much power that can take full accountability for your emotions, for your feelings, for how you're going to approach it, that nobody else can touch. Whenever we hear about great leaders or people from our past that everybody goes on about, if you talk about Nelson Mandela or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, any of these type of figures in our past, and we say, what did they have in common? It was an unshakable mindset when it came to the external factors. It wasn't saying that the external factors were going to be so perfect and so sunshine and butterflies every single day. But what it was saying is that even if the outside or the environment is not the way that I want it to be, I'm taking full accountability for my personhood. I'm taking full accountability for my experience in this life. And when people and environments realize that they can't take that from you, the more they realize they can't take it from you, the less you often have to worry about having to prove something or do something for other people. Because a lot of times people like to fiddle with and push around people that are easy for the taking. Every now and then somebody's bold enough to come for a person who they know they shouldn't be coming for. And it's like, really? Really? It's like, really? I'm in my full power. I'm in my full accountability for my life. Why would you try to come and knock me off this pedestal that you don't even have access to? This pedestal is one that I put there. And if I put it there, only I can take it away. So where in your life can you think of a situation or a circumstance to where having full accountability for what is occurring is going to 10x your life in a way that used to be the term 3x. It turned into 10x a few years ago, in a way that you have never seen, in a way that you can be proud of, in a way that you can see your personal agency in action, right? Like one of my daughters always say, every time somebody's being pushed over or something's happening where she's like, they're like crashing out and they're not fully in their own body, in their own power. She's like, stand up. And that's the mindset. It's like, stand up. Taking full accountability is the only way out. It's the only way to get a better mindset. It's the only way to find peace. It's the only way to outgrow the negative space that somebody's actions or their lack of action might have put you in. This even relates to like generational curses that we have in our families. A lot of people think it's so important to say this happened to this person and then this happened to that grandparent and this happened to, and if you do that, you're going to be going back forever. There's always something that somebody did from one generation to the next that probably shouldn't have been done or that could have been done better. There's always going to be something like that. But imagine your life if that's all you have to show for it is that, well, I could have been financially stable, but I came from this. I could have had a good relationship in life, but this is the kind of background I came from. I could have raised my children well, but hell, I wasn't raised well either. Like, that doesn't fly. When we take full accountability for where we are in life and that we are in charge and we hold the power and our only job is to be an excellent co-creator and to be an excellent vessel for the beautiful things in life, then there's no time and attention that we have to be spending on whether somebody did something to us, who's to blame for this or who's to blame for that. Full accountability for your life and where you stand in it, no matter what is going on, is the only way out. It's the only way that you can create healthy boundaries. It's the only way that you can learn how to say no when it's necessary. It's the only way that you can shake yourself away from shame, blame, and guilt, which was what a lot of people were raised on. It's the only way that you can find a way out of that. When you become fully accountable and you realize that this person's opinion doesn't really make my life. This person's attitude towards me doesn't really change anything. This person being passive aggressive towards me doesn't really maneuver in my life at all. Like, it doesn't affect me at all. When you start to think about life in that way and you start to think like, I'm responsible. It's way more powerful than what people think. People think it's powerful to say that somebody else did it or that, this person is responsible or this person should be doing what they should be doing. And when it comes to accountability, so many people like to deflect. And I find that the people that run around saying be accountable the most, like the people that's their bread and butter to tell everybody else to be accountable every 5 seconds, they're usually the least accountable. Because the thing about it is, when you are actually living in that space, you don't have time to talk about that all the time because you're too busy being accountable for your own life. And I've been around people who have preached that like the gospel. And it's just like, yeah, you got to be accountable for this and that. And then when I'll show up with my full power and my full accountability with the mindset that I'm supposed to have, and it's strictly just for me because I know what I need to have a good life. I know the mindset I need to have the life that I'm choosing. They will immediately start deflecting and start backing off or either start treating me like as if I'm doing something to them. And I'm like, hey, I thought we were all about accountability here. You're not being accountable right now. I know that I am. And it's not even about that. But you'll notice more and more as you move forward in life that it's not about other people and what they're doing and what they're not doing. If you spend time on that, you're going to be wasting precious time that you have here. Be fully accountable for your life. And that's the only thing that you can do. Full-fledged accountability for your own life is the only way out of anything that you are experiencing. Positive things that you want to keep. Negative things that you want to get out of. That's the only way out. Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.